Introducing local author Judy Penz Sheluk. A former journalist and magazine editor, Judy Penz Sheluk is the author of 6 novels and 2 mystery series, several short stories, and the editor and publisher behind the critically acclaimed Superior Shores Press Anthologies. She is a member of the Sisters in Crime, International Thriller Writers, the Short Mystery Fiction Society, and Crime Writers of Canada, where she serves as chair on the board of directors. She splits her time between Alliston and Goulais River, Ontario. Welcome, Judy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Today I thought I'd write about my most recent multi-author anthology, Moonlight and Misadventure. That up here, like so you can see it. And that came out in June of 2021. And not only did I edit the collection of 20 short stories by 20 different mystery authors, I also selected them out of 93 submissions. And those submissions came from 26 US states, 4 Canadian provinces, as well as the UK, Netherlands, India, Australia, and New Zealand. So really, it did get a lot of international buzz. I had 2 previous anthologies. I'll show you Heartbreaks and Half-Truths, Best Laid Plans. And so I think because I developed a bit of a following through those, which is why I got so many submissions for this one, which is great. So the book is published under my imprint, Superior Shores Press. And again, as I mentioned, it's the 3rd anthologies. The Best Laid Plans, 21 stories of mystery and suspense, was released in June 2019. And Heartbreaks and Half-Truths, 22 stories of mystery and suspense, was released in June 2020. And if you're wondering why, there's 21 and 22 and 20 stories, basically the aim is to go for about 80,000 words. And so depending on the length of the stories, you have a variation of, between 20 to 22 stories. That's just sort of the sweet spot for an anthology. So in addition to having one of my stories in Moonlight, as well as in one in each of the other collections, each of the anthologies, including Moonlight, has, as I said, submissions from several other authors. And the great thing about doing it that way is that you get a real good mix of types of novels. So I have noir, there's a simple whodunit, there's a bit of humor, some historical. So there's kind of like a Forrest Gump box of chocolates. There's a little bit of something, and you don't know what you get. And in addition, every single author has their own little bio page. So in front of their story, they will have their own bio page. So people will get to know a little bit about the author if they want to find out more about their work. So some of the authors in the collection are very well known. They're prestigious authors that have won awards. And in this case, 2 authors are brand new, first publication. And those are probably what I'm most excited about, because I got my start in the whole shebang too, which was published by Sisters in Crime, and in 2014. And that acceptance, it changed my life, because it made me think, okay, I got a publication deal, and it was really exciting for me. And so I wanted to, pay that forward in some way if I could. And that's why, if you saw this shebang cover, which I don't have with me, they listed all the authors on the cover. And that's why I wanted to do that as well. So that whether it's your first publication or your 100th publication, your name's on the cover like everyone else, and you're recognized like everyone else. So that was really important to me. The other reason that I decided to publish in the anthologies is because I have been with 2 traditional publishers, starting with my first contract in 2014, first book 2015. And by 2019, both those publishers were out of business. And so I decided, instead of going and finding a 3rd publisher that may or may not go out of business or merge, or publishing world can be quite a challenge, I thought, I'm going to start my own press. And I hire the editors and cover artists and everything that I've worked with in the past for my own novels. But I thought I want to give the press legitimacy. So it's not just about me, but on the other hand, I definitely did not want to be taking on like books by other authors and becoming this like sort of HarperCollins kind of light version. And so I thought, anthology, short story collection. And so I started with the best laid plans to see how it would go. And it went really well. And it's still selling well to this day, which astounds me, but it is. And so anyway, that's one of the reasons I did it. And it's worked out really well. And even the best laid plans even was longlisted for a Killer Nashville Reader's Choice Award. So that was kind of exciting. So anthologies, so they're all theme-based, meaning the stories in Moonlight and Misadventure all have to have some Moonlight and some Misadventure, but not to the point where you're hitting people over the head with it. You know, it's got to be a subtle connection. And I also specified no werewolves because I don't get werewolves. And I figured with the Moonlight thing, I was bound to get some werewolf stories and I didn't want to read any. I just don't get them. So but the good thing about having a theme is that you can see how different authors interpret the theme in a way that I would have never imagined. So that is something I think is really fun as well. And so since I've started the process, I've read about 300 submissions, of which I've accepted roughly 60 stories. And deciding, you know, what stays or goes, that can be really difficult because, you know, certainly there are some stories that immediately on reading, I know they're not going to make it. But out of say the 90 plus that I got for this anthology, you know, at around the 35 story mark, you've got 35 really good stories, and then you got to drop another 15. And so that comes down to, you know, word count. You know, you want to have varied word counts. You want to have some that are 2,000 words, and some that are 5,000 words, and some that are 3,000 words. So if I have a bunch of 5,000 words, now I'm looking for a shorter story. If I have more shorter stories, I'm looking for a longer story. So there's that. Is the theme twisty? Is it predictable? You know, those kind of things. And then sometimes it just boils down to bad luck. In the case of Moonlight, I had two stories that I loved that were roughly the very same length, but they were both about a guy that tried to kill his boss. You can only have one story about a guy killing his boss in a collection of 20 stories. So of that, I actually had to send it to a friend and say, read these and tell me which one you like best. And that's the one I picked because I couldn't pick. But the author that I turned down, I said, this is such a good story, send it to Mystery Weekly, which he did, and it's got picked up by them. So I was glad because I knew it was really good. I couldn't pick. So that's basically the story behind Moonlight Misadventure in my anthologies. And I would say to anybody that is an aspiring writer of short fiction, that the best thing you can do is read lots of short fiction. You know, reading is absolutely the best teacher. And the more you read, the more you'll see what you like, what you don't like, what works, what doesn't work. And that's would be my best advice for anybody. So I hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy. Thank you so much for sharing with us about your experiences as an author, both being traditionally published and also starting your own press, which is very, very impressive, and having these anthologies. So thank you so much for joining us today.